Hi, so for today we've got a Compass Kensington 115. Quick sales lesson. These are also sold as the Compass Avant-Garde, as the sort of the basic model, and also sold as the eldest AutoQuest as well, 115. So they're all the same model. Some dealers do special editions. This one's been done and prepared by Kimberly. As always, we were going to start down in the cab. Underneath your front seat, you've got your vehicle toolkit. And then above that, you've got your access into the engine battery and the bonnet releases over on the end. If you're wanting to fill up with fuel, then this is a Euro 6 model, so you've got your fuel filler cap there, and then your AdBlue. And the AdBlue is monitored by a sensor, which is displayed in the cab as well. Just in the middle of the Peugeot badge, you've got your lever, pull up on that one, and that enables you to open up the bonnet. Over on the left-hand side, we've got our screen wash, and then our brake fluid, power steering fluid, and radiator reservoirs, oil filler, and oil dipstick. Should you ever need to jump start the vehicle, over on the right-hand side of the engine bay, pop up this little lever there, that releases a little paddle, so that's where your positive will connect up to. And then the negative goes back onto a bolt in the centre of the engine bay just here. When you come around onto the driver's side, you've got exhaust vents here for the blown air heating and for the water heating system, so make sure that they don't become obscured. Above that, you've got your leisure battery access and also the mains hookup. We always recommend that you connect to the side of the van first of all, and then connect to your power supply. And there's a cavity in the bottom of the door so that you can close up without trapping the cable. Further back along the vehicle, you've got your freshwater drain, so that enables you then to drain the tank off, potentially for storage or for cleaning. When you come around to the back of the van, you've got your freshwater filler. So turn the key and then turn the cap, and you should be able to get the cap and the key out together. Back in, turn the cap, and then turn the key, and it should lock up. And then alongside that, you've got your toilet cassette. Flush water on these is coming directly from your onboard freshwater tank. So as long as the lever is shut inside, you should be able to pull up on the orange lever and slide the whole body of the cassette straight out. On a campsite, you can have collection points for these to go into. So grey cap off the top first of all. Tip the whole thing up and then press your orange button at the top, and that lets all the waste come out the bottom. Before you load it back in, measuring cup in the top of the cap, so up to a cap full of green chemical for the Highlands please, and about 2 litres of fresh water. You can use the pods or the sachets instead, and then load it back in, and it's nice and secure and ready to go. Gas locker is on the passenger side. You've got 2 bottles in here. Simply just turn on and turn off by turning the valve clockwise to turn it off, or turning it anti-clockwise to turn it on, and then your gas goes through to your appliances. Right down low, just in front of the rear wheel, you've got your wastewater outlet drain. They put a little extension pipe on the end of it, so you could use that to then guide it into a sluice or a gully. So this one's fitted with a Fiamma awning, so hook up through the eye and turn your awning handle around. Wind it out to a midpoint and slide out the end of the pelmets and bring the legs down. This one's been used so infrequently, it's still got its plastic wrappers on it. Slide it down into position and lock the leg out. Same on the other end. Pull out from the end first and then swing the leg round. Undo your little wing nut. So we've got it set at the midpoint, and then just walk the awning out afterwards. And set it out like so. These are sunshades. Wet or windy conditions, they need to be put away. To get it back in, you want to walk the leg back in. wind the awning back, again back to that midpoint, and then bring each leg up. Fold the foot over so that it's flat against the pelmet, and then squeeze in on the knuckle. Just make sure it's all locked back into position, and then wind back in. Just inside the caravan door, you've got a 12-volt control panel. So top left-hand button turns on your 12-volt circuit. You have a separate switch for your water pump, one for your interior lights, and then one for the outside awning light. Displays for your battery level indicator and for your fresh water level. And then just an end switch which turns on your ceiling lights. Underneath the passenger seat bunk, you've got your mains RCD box and battery charger and fuse box. So we've got everything switched off at the moment. Lift up the end switch, you can do a circuit breaker test to make sure that the main supply is safe. And then you can turn on the individual groups, and they're labelled there to show you what each one does. Any of your 12-volt systems in the back half of the vehicle that aren't working, it's worthwhile checking out your fuses. And built onto the back of this is a battery charger, so all the time you're plugged into the main supply, it's trickle charging your leisure battery. So we're now underneath the bunk behind the driver's seat. We've got the back of the battery box there, and where the mains feed comes into. A couple of fuses connected to the leisure battery, another one for the heating system. Right at the very back here, you've got your drain valve for the water heater. So the moment it's in the position where it's storing water within the tank, so we can utilize it. For winter storage, you'll need to move that lever around to that position, and that will allow the water heater to drain out. Leave your interior taps open, and it should allow for a free drain throughout the circuit. If you ever have to reset the water heater, there's a little red switch just down there, and then you've got individual gas isolator taps for the gas feed through to the room heating system and to the water heater as well. So we've got a Whale control panel here for Whale water heating and room heating systems. They're two separate modules, but they share one common control panel. Water heating system, we're working on the assumption that you've already primed water through the water heater. So the yellow valve on top of the water heater has been closed off, and that you've got a continuous supply of cold water coming out of your hot taps in your bathroom, in your shower, for instance. By selecting the hot water switch at the top, you'll see that the whole display lights up, and then with repeated presses you can then go through the different options for frost protection, for a low and for a high level mains operation of the water heater, pure gas, and then a combination of gas and electric, either on a high or a low level. Automatic ignition for the gas. If there's no faults, if there's no problems, it's likely to be accompanied with a little flame symbol just next to the tap, indicating that that's the gas system primed up. It's a similar story with the room heating system. You have a choice of different settings that you can go through, combination of electric, a gas, and then gas and electric, and then a thermostat to increase or decrease the temperature, so either up from a frost protection, a nighttime mode, up to a more intense heat if that's required. And you'll hear the circulation fan kicking in when you do that. If there are faults that occur, something fails to ignite, you're likely to see a little exclamation mark appear next to the heating symbol. That may occur because of a water heating issue, it may occur because of a room heating issue. Press both this symbol and the plus symbol together, and that should reset that panel at that point. One thing that these panels don't like is being turned on and turned off independently of the 12-volt system. So always make sure that you've got your 12-volt supply turned on, and then turn on the Whale system, turn off and shut down the Whale system, and then turn off your 12-volt, and you'll get a much better performance and less chance of seeing that annoying little exclamation mark. Cooker and hob share a common igniter. Always when you turn over the gas system, it's worthwhile just purging some gas through on the hob, just making sure you've got that continuity of gas coming through. Bright sunny day can be quite difficult seeing that flame, so anybody coming into the van needs to be careful where they put their hands, and there's no safety cutouts on these lids, so if this is brought down over the flame, the glass will explode. So make sure everything's nice and cool before you shut it down. Oven and grill. For the grill operation, turn the gas valve around, use your same igniter, and hold in for a couple of seconds and you'll see it flare up. And then for the oven, it's the side door on this one, hold it in for a couple of seconds and you should see the oven light up at the back there as well. Light switches for that. We've already purged the water through the system for your supply. Make sure this is pulled back, and I always suggest that you have this back over there so that if there are any dribbles, then it's going to drain across the glass and not across your worktops. You have a mains operated microwave. To the side of the back of this, you have a separate isolator switch, and then you can activate and turn on the microwave accordingly. Has got a separate plate in it, so I'd always make sure that that's taken out and stored safely before you travel. Finally, we've got the Dometic fridge, which is down here at the back. I've already pre-charged this one up onto the gas system, but I'll show you how all of it works. So you have an off position at the top. You have a mains position, so if you're connected to the national grid, 240 volts, and you can turn it into that mains position. The higher the thermostat line, the colder the fridge will become. Your 12 volt is only going to work when the engine is running. It's taking a direct feed from the alternator to maintain the temperature within the fridge. If you set off with a warm dry fridge and only put it into the battery mode, it won't make the fridge get cold. Likewise, when you are traveling, if you keep it in this 12 volt mode, then the alternator feed is going to go through and it's going to keep that fridge at that temperature. If you end up somewhere where you can't connect to the main supply, then you can operate the fridge on gas. You need to make sure that you push in on the thermostat symbol. Hold this in for a couple of seconds. You may hear a click of an igniter at the back. And when it takes hold, take your finger off the igniter, hold it in on the thermostat for a couple of seconds, and then you'll see this red needle then start to come up into the green zone, indicating that the fridge is lit on gas. As soon as you turn the dial away from that mains position, it switches the supply off. So we've got a Thetford toilet cassette in the back of this model. I'm going to move the swivel bowl toilet out the way deliberately. Naturally, you wouldn't want to use it in this position, but it's just to demonstrate where the sluice lever is. So lift up your seat, open up your lever, which opens up the wastegate into it. Let your waste go through. This one's working off of the fresh water supply from the van, so you need to have the water pump switched on, and you'll get your jet of water going around the inside of the bowl, like so. Close over afterwards, stop any smells or odours coming back up through. As the cassette is approaching full, you'll likely get an indicator light coming on up here, telling you when it needs to be emptied. So we moved our attention to the cab controls. You've got blinds in the cab, so pinch the little feeds together. Slide them carefully into position. There's a magnetic strip on the inside edge, and then when they join together they go around the cable and lock into position like so. Make sure that they are firmly pressed back in so you hear a positive click, otherwise they can come out when you go around a bend, which is not good. Down on the driver's door, you've got electric window switches as well as electric mirror switches. You'll need your ignition on to adjust your mirrors. Turn the little joystick into the position of the mirror that you want to adjust. All right. On this generation, you can do the blind spot mirrors as well. Stalk controls, you've got your wiper controls over on the right-hand side, and then your light controls, which include your side light and main beam. And then below that you've got both a cruise control and a speed limiter control as well. Steering wheel controls operate and work in conjunction with the radio head unit for your mute, for your volume, for changing radio channels, for example. Reverse on this one, up on the collar, push back and push forward, and that will also turn on your reversing camera at the same time. And then you've got your ventilation controls, so the speed of the fan, and then the direction that you want it to come from, and whether it's coming in from inside or outside of the vehicle. Heated mirrors, central locking for the cab, hazard light switch, and the means of disabling the ASR, the anti-skid control system, if you wish to do that. So that's your handover for the Campus Kensington 115. Sincerely hope this van's going to give you lots of miles and lots of smiles. On behalf of Highland Camper Vans, thank you very much for watching.